The URC is back with a bang. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Another brilliant weekend of rugby served up by the URC. 7 of the 8 games, like just one score between the teams, and lots of back and forth as well. Lots of high scoring games. And it's kind of a pity almost, because I'm sure there were a lot of fans who, after the Six Nations probably decided that they were going to give, rugby a miss this weekend. Maybe, it's kind of a natural thing, right? You kind of get almost rugby overload with the Six Nations and stuff. And then, you decide, we're not going to catch the games. But there were some brilliant games this weekend. And like me being a rugby tragic, my problem was I didn't get to see enough of them. Not that, I didn't want to see any. I got to see 2 of the games, and it was the Glasgow Munster game, and then the Ulster. Who were Ulster playing again? Jeez, you think I'd remember, right? It was Dragons, right? Yeah, Dragons versus Ulster. Yeah, I saw that one as well. Like the others, then I couldn't watch because they were either on while I was working or on at the same time as the other games I was watching. But still, I enjoyed the games that I did watch. But yeah, you could pretty much could have picked any game this weekend, and you would have got your money's worth. I think watching any of them, they were all brilliant. So just gonna go, down through the results of the weekend, and then we'll have a chat about where that leaves the table as well, and that like scramble for the playoff places. It's never been as tight in the URC, and which is saying something, because we've noticed year on year it's getting more and more competitive to get into that top 8, and this year is just topping everything, at least so far. So let's go through the games for the weekend. So we start with the first one I covered, which is Glasgow Warriors 28, Munster 25. So in this one, Munster, they actually have Witchley sent to the bin in the first kind of 10 minutes or so, but then they score the first 2 tries of the game, Hodnett and then O'Brien, the first of a double for him, and the 12-0 up. But then Glasgow hit back before the break, so they get Horn over and Stain as well there. And then kind of, Munster then tried to kind of build a bit of a lead, Glasgow come back at them. Then the second half, then Munster, they had a penalty from Butler in the first half. Then they get a second one from him as well in the second half with about 25 minutes to go. Then 15 minutes to go, O'Brien gets over for his second. And, a decent lead for Munster at that stage. But then Glasgow's bench just kind of brings them home. Fagerson gets over with just over 10 minutes to go. Then 5 minutes to go, MacBeth gets over. And, the conversion then gives them a 3-point lead. And Munster, they had a chance to, kick for the posts and maybe go for the draw, but they were all out. They were looking for the win, but it wasn't to be for them. So great win from Glasgow there. Like the bonus point as well with 4 tries. Munster, they got a losing bonus point out of it. Given the results recently, it's not brilliant for them, but it's certainly is a much improved performance. And I thought both teams in attack look really good, but they probably won't need to work on their defence a little bit as well. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable game, that one. And yeah, final score, as I said, Glasgow 28, Munster 25. Okay, so on to the next game then, the other Friday game. That was Cardiff Rugby 20, Emirates Lions 17. So Lions actually started fairly well in this one. They get, what's the guy's name? Entela Bakanye, right? I think that's, hopefully it's at least approximation of the correct pronunciation of his name, but he gets over after about 10 minutes. And then, just as we were ending the first quarter, Donald gets over in response for Cardiff, and they tied up. Then before half time, then Sheedy pops over a penalty to give Cardiff a narrow lead at the break into the second half. Then penalty from Lombard that tied things back up. And then who is it? Horn, right? He's such a fantastic player, by the way. I think very underrated. He gets over with around about 20 minutes to go for the Lions converted as well. So Lions leading at that stage. And then who was it then? Before that, actually, Sheedy put Cardiff ahead with a penalty. Then we have the Horn try, gives the Lions like a 4-point lead with the conversion then. But then the final score of the game actually came like just at the start of the last quarter. I think Millard, or when we went into the last quarter, like the last 20 minutes or so of the game, Millard over, converted by Sheedy. And then, narrow lead for Cardiff, but they're able to hang on. That's going to help by the fact that Lombard got a yellow card as well, in the final 10 minutes. So kind of relieve the pressure a little bit for Cardiff, and well done to them as well, for holding on to the win there too. So 20 points to 17. Cardiff, it was a good win for them, and it's shown as well, because there's been a lot of stuff this year. I don't know who it's coming from. Obviously, fans from other nations saying things like, "Oh, the Welsh teams are only doing well because they play so many Welsh teams," but it doesn't make any sense, because it's not like suddenly they're playing more Welsh teams than they were in the first 3 years of the URC. So, another kind of proof here, that they can actually perform against non-Welsh teams as well. So decent for them. Into the Saturday games then. Early game, another brilliant game. This one, you got, strong Sharks team. You got Khaleesi going over, after 3 minutes. Then Julius over as well after 11 minutes. So they're 14-0 up at that point. Doesn't last for long though, because Jesse responds for Zebre. Then Ferrari gets over, and we're just about halfway through the first half, and we're tied up again. Then I think Zebre took the lead. It was Monte Maori, right, slotted a penalty, but again doesn't last for long. A couple of minutes later, Khaleesi is over for his second to put the Sharks back in front, and then they're not done before half time. 5 minutes to go, Koch gets over, and Hendricks is converting all of those. That's the bonus point try for them already before the break, and starting to look a little more comfortable for them. But then Zebre kind of thinking, well, we're not having any of that. So double from Priscantelli in the first kind of 10 minutes of the second half. And, I think things then were all tied up at that stage. I think it was 28 all. No, actually Zebre were winning, right? Because they had that penalty as well. So I think they were 31-28 at that point. Then 20 minutes or so to go, Monte Maori slots another penalty. So then they've got a 6-point lead. And it's only 5 minutes to go. Hooker gets over for the Sharks and brings them back within 1 point. And then Hendricks slots the conversion. And that proves to be the winning kick of the game. What an exciting game. And Zebre, we saw that they'd already, set amazing record for them, 3 wins on the trot. And then they're going down to South Africa and nearly making a 4. That's just absolutely brilliant. And they didn't win, but they got 4 try bonus point and a losing bonus point out of the game as well. And Sharks kind of getting themselves back, because Sharks are on a good run, and then they kind of lost a little bit, and now trying to get back to a little bit of form as well. But geez, they were made to work for that. So final score: Hollywoodbets Sharks 35, Zebre Parma 34. Again, very entertaining game, that one. Next then, another one that went right down to the wire. So Benetton 21, Edinburgh 18. So in this one, there's only, I think, like in the first few minutes, only one scorer to Umanga slots a penalty for Zebre. Then coming up around the 20-minute mark, then McCann goes over for a try for Edinburgh. That's converted by Thompson. So they've got the lead at that stage. Then Thompson stretches that lead with a penalty with about 10 minutes to go to the half. And then we get some reply from from Benetton. So Umanga with a second penalty with about 4 minutes to go to half time. Then just a couple of minutes to half time, Mendy gets over for a try. It's not converted. So I think Edinburgh at that stage are just about in the lead. Then into the second half, then Thompson then puts them a little bit further ahead. They've got I think it's a 10-point lead then at that stage, is it? Like it's I think it's 18-8 at that point, right? Then Thompson and then Ashman gets over for the try, and then it's 18-8. And then 20 minutes to go, then Benetton start to come back. So we have Odogwu goes over to score. Like, he's been a great recruitment for them as well, and fair play to him for going over there too. You don't get that many players who are or at some stage have been internationals for another nation, and then moving to into the URC. But we're seeing the benefit of it really for teams. You're going to have that player available throughout the Six Nations and be able to just be in the team as well for a game like this, where a lot of the kind of internationals that play for Italy would still be out. So he gets over, and then a few minutes to go, Tuipulotu gets a red card for Edinburgh. I haven't seen the game, so don't know what it was for. But then just a couple of minutes later, then Isakor over for what proves to be a game-winning try for Benetton. It's not converted, so Edinburgh couldn't muster a chance then to reclaim the lead. But again, another fantastic game, went right down to the wire. Benetton 21, Edinburgh 18, and I think Muncaster got a yellow card in that one as well in the first half. He's someone, I think he was kind of involved a little bit with Scotland, but he's someone I think in the next year or so is really gonna put himself forward, I think, in the Scotland jersey as well. He's been fantastic in the URC, especially this year. Kind of stepped up, I think, in a big way this year. So be interested to see how he kind of, what dynamic he brings to the Scotland squad as well, because he's definitely someone, at least on current form, but he looks like it's kind of a more long-term thing, not just kind of a, 1 or 2 seasons being good. He looks like a really good prospect for them, that he's maybe going to be a fixture there, certainly in the 23 for Scotland over the next few years. Okay, next then we have Vodacom Bulls 21, Leinster 20. So Leinster's first defeat of the season. We knew it was going to come because Leinster have only won, I think, once in South Africa. As far as I remember, over the previous 3 seasons. I think it's just once. I think it was one of the games where I think Sam Prendergast actually was there 2 years ago. He was down there, and I think he was playing 10. Was it him or was it Frawley? It's one of them. I think maybe even both of them could have been down there at that stage. But yeah, they I think, was it the Lions or someone they beat It's trying to remember, but yeah, this one, like, I think certainly the result, or well, like the fact that the Bulls won, I think a lot of people would have predicted based on what's happened to Leinster in South Africa in recent years. I don't think the manner of the defeat, though, and how close it went down, right down to the end. I don't think many people would have picked that out. Certainly, I was thinking the Bulls were going to win slightly more comfortably than they did, and Leinster almost pulled it off. But got to say, the Leinster team that played in that game was much stronger than the Leinster teams we've seen going down, in recent years. Like, if you let me actually pull up the teams here for a second. Where are we? Lineups. Okay, so like with Leinster, you got Jack Boyle, capped as an Ireland player now. John McKee, decent hooker. Slimani there, a tight head. You got Snyman in there as well. Dermot Mangan, could be considered kind of certainly not even second string, kind of maybe third string. But then you got Max Deegan, Will Connors in the back row, and then James Culhane. So very kind of mixed, but like the players that are in there, the likes of Slimani, Snyman, Deegan, etc., Will Connors, like they're quality, right? Then halfbacks, Luke McGrath, Ross Byrne would have been like first choice, not too long ago for Leinster, like especially Ross Byrne. Luke McGrath, you kind of get that, almost have a feeling that James Gibson-Park has been around forever, but he hasn't. And like Luke McGrath for a long time would have been like the number one choice there as well. Then you got Andrew Osborne, you got Geordie Barrett, Hugh Cooney, really shown how well he's coming on. Then the two O'Briens, Tommy and Jimmy, in there as well. So it's a serious team that they sent down. And then like on the bench, even you got the likes of Tom Clarkson on there. You got Alex Soroka, who I absolutely love as a prospect, and just so kind of disappointed for him that last year, through injury, was completely disrupted for him. Scott Penny there as well. Kieran Frawley on the bench too. So serious team, like, and it's we already know that the Bulls team were a serious team as well that was picked there too. And then like looking at all the brilliant players they have, but like Cameron Hanekom, he's another one of those, like, kind of like he was kind of last year, like Muncaster is this year, but Hanekom was a player who really came to the fore last year for me at least. But yeah, we look at how the game went. So Leinster, perfect start. Barrett is over for a try after 3 minutes. Byrne converts it. And that was in response to Johannes' penalty in the first couple of minutes. So the first like 5 minutes, there's plenty of action there. Then we have a penalty from Byrne on 17 minutes. I think that was maybe it for the first half. I think Johannes maybe scored a penalty right on the stroke of half time. Into the second half, then Leinster get over again. Andrew Osborne, first few minutes of the half, Byrne converts that as well. And then, kind of, we see it a lot with Leinster, especially when they pick teams like this, where it's kind of a mixture of players, is that they try to beat teams in kind of the first 60 minutes or so, and kind of 20 to 25 minutes to go, they kind of drop off a little bit. So if the opposition are within kind of striking distance, they can come back. I think that's really what the Bulls did. Like, so, like Clarkson goes to the bin on like 57 minutes, and at the same time there's a penalty try awarded to the Bulls that gets them back within like, what was it, 4 points, I think, at that stage. Then we have, like, into the last kind of 10 minutes or so, the clerk then gets a red card for the Bulls, and then it's Byrne then slots a penalty 3 minutes to go for Leinster, which then gives them, they were winning by 3 points. That makes a 6 point lead then at that stage. Or was it? I'm trying to remember now. No, Leinster were losing at that stage, right? They were the team after the penalty try. Yeah, they were the team that were just behind. So then Byrne steps up. He slots the penalty. That gives them a 2 point lead with 3 minutes to go. Yeah, that's what it was. And then the Bulls, like the clerk, red card, 5 minutes to go. That penalty from Leinster looks like Leinster are gonna hang on for the win, but then like 4 minutes into the red on the clock, the Bulls force a penalty, and then Creel steps up, slots it over, and the Bulls deserve win for them. And another team like that, they're doing well, certainly on the log this year, but they have been a bit kind of up and down recently, like through that period of South African derbies and stuff. Like, in fairness, like South African derbies are tough, so you don't expect to sweep them or anything like that. But yeah, this is certainly going to boost their confidence. And again, that's the thing, like with Leinster, is that even if it's not the first team that's there, the confidence that teams get from beating them, isn't diminished by that. And I think the Bulls now, they're going to have a good run in for the rest of the regular season probably, and then go into those knockout stages, being like maybe this is their year, because they've been so close on so many occasions, in this. Yeah, but full-time score, Vodacom Bulls 21, Leinster 20. Okay, on to the next game then. So Scarlets 17, DHL Stormers 29. So this one, like, sounds like, it's the only game that didn't finish with a score, and it sounds like it was a bit more one-sided than the others, but that doesn't really tell the full story of the game. It was actually close right up until the end, but it's the Stormers who get off to good start. Ben Loader over after 13 minutes. And, again, another guy who has come into the URC and, has been absolutely brilliant as well. And, it kind of, I think, is a measure of the URC that we're starting to attract those kind of players in as well. That it's not, because back when it was kind of the Celtic League, or what was it before that, Pro 14, or after that, I should say, it felt very parochial with the players that are playing in the league. Like, there was very, very few foreigners on any of the teams. Now, to be the odd Islander, and then a few South Africans, obviously, around the place. But now it feels like we're getting, with English players coming in, French players coming in, etc. It really does feel like the everything about the league is just getting better and better. But yeah, loaded over after 13 minutes. Then Furi, a few minutes later, he's over for a try as well. Feinberg and Gamazulu, he converts that one. So Stormers then are up 12-0 at that stage. And Scarlets then, me gets over with about 10 minutes to go to half time. Lloyd converts that. So they're back within touching distance into the second half then. And Nicholas over for the Scarlets. Lloyd converts again. So now the Scarlets are actually leading at that point by 2 points. And then we get, like, and at that point, I'm pretty sure that Scarlets, they had Hepburn in the bin. So they were actually, they took the lead when they were down to 14. And then, we're coming in then to the kind of final 20 minutes of the game. Zas, 15 minutes or so to go. He gets over for the Stormers, converted by Fernberg and Gamazulu. So now they're back in the lead. And then, but the Scarlets, they're not going away at that stage. I think it was it 22-14 at that point? Yeah, because there was an earlier penalty, right, in the half for Stormers as well. So they've got an 8-point lead, but then 10 minutes to go, Lloyd slots a penalty for the Scarlets, so brings them back within touching distance, and going into kind of those last few minutes, either team can win it, but 2 minutes to go, then Venter is over for a try for the Stormers, and that's converted by Feinberg and Gamazulu. So it's really only right at the death that the Scarlets were denied the losing bonus point. So decent performance from them. The Stormers, again, another team who have been kind of up and down in the form recently, and this year as well. Their form in the URC just hasn't been up to the level we've seen them before. They obviously inaugural champions of the URC, and since then you kind of expect them to be in that kind of bracket of the top 4 or 5 teams, so this win certainly going to help them in terms of trying to work their way back up the standings. So final score, Scarlets 17, DHL Stormers 29. Okay, on to then the final 2 games of the weekend. So, for me, it was kind of difficult to decide which one of these 2 games to watch. And it turned out I picked a high scoring game to watch, which is Dragons versus Ulster. But the one that I decided not to watch was even more high scoring. But let's go through this one first. So Dragons 30, Ulster 34. So, if you turned on late for this one, you missed the opening try of the game, because Owen goes over in the left, in the opening seconds of the game, basically the first attack of the game, he's over. That's converted by Reid, and then even 10 minutes into the game, and Hume is over for Ulster. Doak converts that to tie everything up. Then we have a penalty from Reid that puts the Dragons back in front. Then at that stage, Rob Herring is in the bin. And then before he comes back out, so they had the penalty from his infringement. And then before he comes back out, then Anderson gets over for a try for Dragons. Really well worked, that one as well. And I thought he picked a nice line for his finish. Reid converts that. So Dragons, taking control a little bit at that stage. Then Herring is back on, and he comes back on, and almost straight away, a few minutes later, Westwood is in the bin for the Dragons, and then Herring has gotten over for a try for Ulster to kind of bring them back into it. And then we're thinking, okay, we're winding down towards half time, but then Williams gets over for the Dragons' 3rd try, and Dragons really looking good at that point then, building up a bit of a lead. Into the second half then, Ulster looking to respond. So Herring over for his 2nd of the game. Doak converts it again. And then, Ulster looking like they're kind of, now they're maybe the team that are in command. But then the game swings back the other way again. So Reid pops over a penalty for the Dragons, coming kind of the 30 minutes to go mark. And then, I think he scores another penalty, right, with just coming up to 20 minutes of the game left. But then Ulster, they replaced Doak with Cooney, and I thought Ulster's bench really had a big impact on the end of the game. Cooney comes on, slots some really important penalties, gets one with 15 minutes to go, and that kind of last 15 minutes or so, it's all Ulster coming back at the Dragons at that stage. Wilson, who Wilson and Andrew, I thought, coming off the bench, and Cooney as well, all had big impacts on the final result. Wilson gets over for a try with 10 minutes to go. Cooney converts that one. But still, Dragons, are just about holding on to the lead. But Ulster then managed to force a penalty in the last minute, and then Cooney slots that one. And basically what it was Ulster were camped on the Dragons line, and they thought they actually got over to score the winning try. But then I think it was McCluskey was pinged for obstruction. He was basically like standing behind a ruck and blocking a player from tackling. And I think it was Andrew who got over, but that's chalked off. But they were playing penalty advantage anyway. So Cooney then, it's straight in front. He runs down the last 40 odd seconds of the game and then pops it over to win the game for Ulster. But Dragons, much improved performance from them. I thought in attack they looked absolutely superb. Better, like I've watched a fair few Dragons games honestly over the last few years. I don't remember, or certainly I don't remember many, but I don't think I remember a better attacking performance from the Dragons, especially in that first half. They look so slick. Obviously defense is still an issue for them, and having enough in the tank as well to be able to finish games off. The final score, Dragons 30, Ulster 34. And yeah, I think in terms of the actual performance of both teams, I think both teams, it was a step up for them. So certainly positives all around there. Then the final game of the weekend, save the best for last, why not? Ospreys 43, Connacht 40, 83 points in the game, and still there's just a penalty separating them. So Connacht, brilliant start from them. Tracy over in the first minute, Ioane converts it. Edwards then slots a penalty for the Ospreys. Then Hurley Langton gets over. That's converted by Ioane as well. So, at that point, coming up to about 15 minutes, Connacht have a 11-point lead. But then Giles gets over a few minutes later for Ospreys for their opening try of the game. Then Giles is over again, with about 10 minutes to go. A couple minutes later, Hardy is over. Then pretty much from the restart, Cassende is over as well. And Ospreys have the bonus point in the bag before the break, and they're leading. Then second half, Walsh gets over. And it looked like, Ospreys in a commanding position at that point, they're look like no way back for Connacht, but Connacht's fans know, one, you never count Connacht out because they can just score, a couple of tries in no time. But also, you never count your chickens with Connacht because they concede a couple of tries in no time. And that happened, all of that happened in this game, concede, building a lead in the first half, then conceding all, 3 tries in about 4 minutes or something. They conceded in that first half. Giles 32, Hardy 34, Cassende 35. Then, as I said, Walsh over for Ospreys again. But then Connacht then, come in with a double tap. Heffernan 47, O'Connor a couple of minutes later brings them back, within touch again, and that's their bonus point try as well. Then Cassende over for his second with about 25 minutes to go. And again, Ospreys looking fairly comfortable. They've got a decent margin on Connacht at that stage. I think they were 2 scores ahead at that point. I think they were two or 3 scores. It might have been just over. It might have been 15 points at that point, I think. It was 43-28 at that point. Yeah, so 15 points. But then Connacht, another double tap. So Murphy over with about 15 minutes to go. And then Hurley Langton with his second of the game with 10 minutes to go. And set up a barnstorming finish as well. But fair play to Ospreys then, making sure that Connacht didn't get any kind of clear-cut chances to either, get a draw or nick the win on it as well. But 12 tries in the game, 6 tries apiece. What a way to kind of round off the weekend as well of rugby. Just brilliant. And again, Ospreys last year, they had a great end to the season that got them into the playoffs. And this year, they're kind of starting to do the same thing again. They're coming good at the right time of the year. Connacht, just so inconsistent, so frustrating for the fans, but so entertaining for the neutrals because of it. Just the way the game just ebbs and flows. So brilliant game there. The highlights of this game. It's hard to put highlights package together for this game and even include all the tries for so many of them. But yeah, what a brilliant performance from both teams on that as well. Obviously Connacht will be disappointed to lose, but how can you be you go away from home and yes, you conceded 6 tries, but you scored 6 tries away from home and also won the game as well. So final score, Ospreys 43, Connacht 40. Okay, so let's have a look at the table. So Leinster still at the top there, 12 wins out of 13 now, so first defeat of the season for them on 58 points though, so they still got a good margin over Glasgow, and they knew going down to South Africa that no matter what happened down there, they would come back still top of the table. I think that's there's a few things with Leinster this year with their tour to South Africa. One is that the fact that they knew that they had such a big margin that whatever happened, they were going to come back leading. And the second thing is, it's slightly earlier in the season than it has been previously in the last couple of years. They've been kind of the last their trip down has been somewhere within the last 4 rounds of the competition, which meant that there wasn't much time for them to really build momentum back up. But with this one, they're going to have they're gonna get back, and it's gonna round 15 is gonna be the next round after they come back, and they're gonna have 4 regular rounds as well of the season to just kind of get back into the rhythm that they had before. So I think that's going to be a big thing for them, and the fact that they picked a much stronger squad to go down as well. They're probably looking. I would imagine before they went, they probably said, we're targeting getting 1 win down there. They almost got it in the first one, and you never know, they might get it, in the next round. But we'll talk about that in the preview for next round. So yeah, Leinster top there are 58. Glasgow Warriors then after that win over Munster, they're in second place at 49, but they have the Bulls bringing down their neck. After that win over Leinster in third place on 45, who then have the Sharks breathing down their neck in 4th place, just a point back on 44. Then we have a bit of a gap to the absolute traffic jam of pretty much every other team in the league apart from the Dragons. So 5th place Cardiff, 35 points. Again, that win against the Lions so important for them because if they had lost that, they're not just outside of the playoff places probably, but they've got a couple of teams ahead of them, in that queue to try and get back into the top 8. So very important win for them. Then Munster, they're in 6th place, dropping down after the defeat to Glasgow, but importantly, the bonus point there just keeping them ahead, of the 2 teams below them, which are Ospreys in 7th place on 33, and then the Stormers coming into the playoff spots, just at the right time of the season in 8th place there on 33. Then Ulster, Ulster, I'm pretty sure before this round, Ulster were getting hunted down by Zebre, and now they're the ones up in 9th now, looking up it's just crazy. You're basically like one win away from, feeling like, oh, the playoffs are on, and then one defeat away from, oh God, we're going to finish like second last in the league. It's crazy. Ulster though in 9th place on 32. Benetton, 10th place, also on 32. Edinburgh, who kind of blew things last year, in 11th place on 31. So they're definitely going to have to discover some better form to get themselves up the table there. Connacht, similarly, in 12th place on 31 as well. The Lions in 13th, came close. Came close to getting a win against Cardiff. Again, would have put their season, in completely different complexion as well, because they would have been sitting up there in the playoff places instead of Cardiff. But they're in 13th on 30 points. Then the Scarlets in 14th on 28. And you feel so sorry for them, because again, the only losing team this round that didn't get a losing bonus point. So all those losing bonus points, everyone gaining at least a point on them in the league. And again, that game against the Stormers was so close until 2 minutes to go. But yeah, they're in 14th place on 28. Then Zebre, who almost caused a massive shock by beating the Sharks away, then they're in 15th on 27. And then the Dragons, although they didn't win at the weekend, they came so close to beating Ulster. They were so good, such an improvement from them. And hopefully, it's not just a one-off for them. We're going to see them improving as well. But they're down there, just one win so far this season. So that would have been, a second win for them would have been great. But they're on 9 points. So you expect at this stage, we've got, 5 rounds left of the regular season now, that they are going to finish bottom of the league. But you would hope that they're going to pick up at least one more win by the end of the season, if not, one or two more than that. But, it's good to see them improving in terms of their performance and being more competitive as well. But, when you look at the rest of the league, it's just crazy. As I said, 5th place Cardiff, 35 points. 15th place Zebre, just 8 points back on 27. I remember the first year of the URC, and then the last year of the Pro 14 as well, where you were talking about 8 points difference between maybe even 10th and 8th place or something, with a few rounds to go, or some 3 or 4 rounds to go in the competition, and you were thinking, oh, can they make up the ground on that? Whereas now, it's amazing how close. Just look at the points from 5th. I won't read off the teams, but just the points. So 5th place, so it goes 35, 34, 33, 33, 32, 32, 31, 31, 30, 28, 27. Absolutely brilliant. And we've seen this coming with the league as well. And, my hope is that we are going to get a nice mix of teams into the playoffs. At the moment, let's say it was just, okay, we're done now for the season. We would have 2 Irish teams in the playoffs. We'd have 1 team from Scotland, 3 teams from South Africa, and 2 teams from Wales. Now, and then the only nation missing from that is Italy, and Benetton are almost there. They're just 1 point back from the Stormers in 8th place there. So, for a nice spread, nothing against the Stormers, but if you swapped Benetton for the Stormers, then you would have 1 team from each of the nations going into the playoffs, and at least 1 team, should I say, and that would make for a very exciting playoffs. And I think that's what we need as well. We need all of the nations being represented. other than Ospreys last year, we weren't really seeing Welsh teams qualifying at all for the playoffs. But this year, it feels like we're probably will get at least one Welsh team in there. But then things can completely change as well. But yeah, it's very exciting. There's 5 rounds to go now in the regular season. Obviously, that's going to be dotted in with kind of Champions Cup and Challenge Cup knockout stages as well. But the run in for this season, just the prospect of it already just has me so excited to watch the rugby from there. And even though we do have like the lines this summer and stuff, it's weird. I'm already feeling like this is such a special season, especially in the URC, that I don't want it to end. It is obviously going to end, but I don't want it to end because I don't know if that magic is going to be there next season, But let's enjoy it while we can, and let me know what you think about what's going on in the URC down in the comments.